Hello, this is Kara from Kara Tarot, and I'm happy today to be doing a deck review of one of my favorite decks, the Distant Past Tarot. Before that, I just want to say a little bit about this lady. This is a porcelain figurine that my great aunt gave me when I was maybe around 9, 10, 11, somewhere in there. I wanted to show you this as an example of that I have all of my life been interested in the 1700s, the late 1700s, the court of Louis XIV, and certainly this is in that style, or perhaps a little later than that style, the style of the early 1800s. There was a resurgence in popularity of these styles in the 1930s, when even a lot of the Nouveau 30s evening gowns had these kind of paniers or elements that poofed them out at the sides, and it was directly in response to this, as these styles, as well as the movies from the 30s that were set back in time. So I just wanted to show you this, and it's not just a figurine. I actually took this to the Antiques Roadshow and I didn't get on, but this is actually legitimately from the late 1800s, probably around 1875, and it is not just a figurine, it is a dinner bell. And so it is one of my meaningful favorite things because it was from my mother's great aunt who was a teacher, and she solely gave it to me because I clearly loved it. So for great Aunt Mary, thank you, and you're being thought of today. And so now I want to talk about one of my favorite decks, and you'll understand why I wanted to talk about that before I show you this. The Distant Past Tarot. It's not a new deck, but it is a deck that you have to have printed. You have to go to makeplayingcards.com. It comes in just a plain white tuck box from them. And one of the things you'll want to know, I got the smaller version, which has a linen finish. And I will say it's a very slippery linen finish. I sometimes worry that I might have lost a card because they're slippery. It comes with two, title cards in that box. And then it comes with cards that tell you how to use the deck. The images from the deck. It is a collage deck, and it just gives you keywords for the different suits, and also a card about tarot numerology. So different ways that you can incorporate ideas into your readings of these cards. They are a very traditional Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, and I have found it incredibly easy to read since I first got it. I have had time to work with it now for several months, off and on, and I'll just start by showing them to you. The Fool, as I said, it's a collage deck, but a lot of the images are very much based in the 1700s. The Magician here is a little more exotic. And you'll see many of the traditional symbols are still included in these, the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith symbols, although in different ways. For example, instead of pomegranates being behind the High Priestess, they're in her lap. And instead of columns, it's trees. But still very much the regular symbols are still there. This Hierophant, I believe that's from a painting of John the Baptist, but I'm not sure. If you know, please do let me know in the comments. The Lovers with the Angel. The Chariot with 2 different colored horses. And the wings and the symbol on the chariot. This is one of my favorite strength cards, I must say. The Hermit card that I can identify with. I think the owl is a new addition. I don't remember the owl in other Hermit cards, but certainly the staff, the lantern, and the mountains. Pardon me, I'm having a bad flare-up of my chronic breathing problems, so if my voice is a little rough, please excuse me. The Wheel of Fortune, at a different angle than sometimes we see the Wheel of Fortune. As you'll see, many of these cards have the blue sky and the grass, or they'll have blue sky and water. Justice. Now, something I didn't mention. This is what I would call a positivity deck. And that's because it gives you 2 options for some of the more difficult cards. So here we have the Awakening and the Hanged Man. And you can just choose whichever you prefer. I prefer the more traditional title. But it's nice to know that I have this if I were going to be doing a reading for someone who's a little more fearful. Transition instead of death. I really like both of these cards. Of course, you put a horse in it and I'm going to like it. And the lovely gateways with the light at the end. And then this very traditional Victorian image of death. Temperance. And again, this is the last of the positivity choices. Materialism. And the Devil. And as you see, it gives you quite a different in shades of meaning here too, with all of the water in the materialism card and the blue sky, as opposed to the tomb and the crypt in the Devil card. This wonderful Tower card with both lightning from above and explosion from inside. And then that almost incidental moon through the trees. Lovely Star card, innocence and hopefulness. The moon. And instead of the usual path, you just have the moon raining down the water to create that kind of visual path up to the mountains. And once again, we have the columns that we saw in the Hierophant card. And the sun. So retaining the bright wrap, the sunflowers, the horse, the wall, all of those images from the regular Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Judgment, not my favorite Judgment card, I will say. I've spent a good deal of time with little ruminations about what this scene is here that's going on up there. So it gives you still a lot to work with. And I don't dislike it, it's just not one of my favorite representations. And then the world, one of my favorite representations of the world, with astrological symbols in the corners instead of some of the other symbols that one might see in the deck. And looking quite a lot like an image of the Virgin Mary. So those are the majors. And then I'll go through the minors here. I'll just kind of fan these out. Again, still very traditional while changing the imagery. These almost look like sticks wrapped in green satin to me. This Ten of Wands lady doesn't look particularly worn down, which is a little more hopeful. Some of the pages are girls in this deck. Queen of Wands with a field of sunflowers, and the King of Wands. So I think I told you it's available in 2 sizes. My understanding is the other size is closer. This is a kind of a traditional tarot card size, bigger than a plain pack of playing cards, which would be about there. These are the cups. And the larger size of this, I think, is close to the size of the Giant Rider-Waite, and it is not linen finish. And I will tell you, this is one deck that I like so much, I might actually go ahead and get the larger size. I do like large cards, especially when there's so many details. The non-specificity of the lustful objects in this Seven of Cups is fascinating. They're just lights that beckon you. The Nine of Cups. This is a Nine of Cups that I like very much because she looks maybe just a little dim and complacent, and they're fulfilled with her 9 cups. And happy family, 10 of Cups, with still the rainbow imagery. If there are some little gaps in here, it's because I have edited out my coughing. Page of Cups still has the fish there in his cup, but again, a very young page, which is what many of the books tell us the page should be, a young child. The Knight of Cups, again, off of his horse. Most of these knights are off their horses, which is interesting. Queen of Cups is a card that I like. I don't particularly like her expression, but I do still like the card in general. And some people have pointed out this gesture of the hand perhaps pointing to her private areas and her fertility. And the King of Cups getting his feet wet. But with this marvelous Neptune-like throne. Gee, do you think I like this deck just a little bit? Came across this deck kind of late in the game of my gathering decks of cards. I don't know if I had found this first, I might have stopped here. I love with the swords and the air of the swords. We have butterflies, traditional 3 of Swords. One of my favorite 6s of Swords, but I will say I like the depictions of the 6 of Swords in general. Seven of Swords, unusual lady sword thief. But what man wouldn't give her extra swords if she asked for them? The Eight of Swords. Interesting addition of the Tower here in the background of the Eight of Swords. The Nine of Swords. And the Ten of Swords. Again with the butterflies. This Page of Swords. The Knight of Swords, looking typically unready to mount his horse. The Queen of Swords, looking as if she might use it. Again, notice all the butterflies and the flowers. And the King of Swords, who does look ready to use it. And finally, the coins. You'll notice repeated motif. These leaves are the leaves that show up in the collage of the Strength card. I love this youngster as the Two of Coins. Interesting poser lady as the Four of Coins. Let me go back a moment and notice again the typical depiction of artisan work being trained in the three. There in the five, the impoverished people. The Six of Coins sharing her berries. One of my favorite cards in any case, but this is a depiction of it that I really love. Pausing a moment in your hard work, again with these leaves that we see in the Strength card. The Eight of Coins, a female artisan sculptor hard at work, and sculpting is hard work. And again, one of my very favorite cards in any deck. And this is a lovely depiction of it. And here we have, again, those pillars that are in the Hierophant, but this time altered with the coins in front of it and the addition of an archway for the garden. And the happy families of the Ten of Coins. Now we don't have in this the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith of this has the elderly man, and we don't have him unless this is supposed to be the elderly man, but I don't think so. The young Page of Coins. The Knight of Coins, again, seemingly worried and lost in thought, and not at all ready to mount his horse. And again, we've got this motif of the grass in the foreground with some water and mountains and blue sky, typical throughout this deck, but they're highlighted in different ways. Once again, the leaves that we saw in the Strength card as part of the collage. Really wonderful Queen of Coins. And a King of Coins looking quite a bit like Louis XIV. And of course very fruitful with all the fruits of the harvest. And they actually look like they could be a decent pair. I believe that this deck has retained some of the coloration of the royal suits that have become more traditional as well. So there you have the kind of flip through of one of my very favorite decks. And before I go, I'd like to do an Arcana Battle with this deck. I haven't done it with this deck. I have shuffled these some now, but people like to see. It's not the thickest cardstock. It is rather bendy. So maybe another reason to go for the larger size. I think that'd be a thicker stock. And as I said, no trouble getting these to slip across each other. Sometimes when I've grabbed them and taken them to another room, I have feared that I might have dropped a card because they are very slippy. So I will do my Arcana Battle. Are you ready? I'm going to be hard-pressed to find anything I like more than the world, I have to say, in this this representation of this deck. Well, I think I found her. One of my favorite depictions of magician. And there we have it. Right back to the beginning. The Fool and the Magician. So just a couple words about working with this deck. To me, this has a very easy voice. It's, as I said, it's the images are very direct. The symbols are very much in keeping from the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck. So if you're a Rider-Waite-Smith reader, this is an extremely easy deck to pick up. I have not yet experienced anything particularly outstanding about the voice of this deck in terms of, it's not tough, it's not sweet. Even though it's a positivity deck, it's not a particularly sweet deck in terms of its voice in readings. It's just very straightforward. And I would say easy. And I think the beauty of the cards makes it comforting. But even with the trade out of the 3 positivity cards and using the harsher cards, I still think that it's not tough, it's not snarky. It's easy for me to say what it's not. What it is, I think, is because for me, it's very much my voice. It's so in tune with me that I don't hear it as anything distinctly different from me. And so that is my deck review of one of my very favorite decks, the Distant Past Tarot. As I mentioned before, excuse me, this is a deck that you have to have printed at makeplaincards.com, and it comes in 2 sizes. Below in the text under the video, I will include the link to their site, but also I will also try to include the direct links to each one of the sizes. Something to know when you're ordering from this company: you have to select the deck as if you're going to buy it before you can flip through and see the images of the entire deck. you are not obligated to purchase at that point, but you have to have more than have it in your cart. You have to select it as if you're ready to go and purchase. Then you have other things to select. They theoretically offer you a lot of options that sometimes aren't available for each deck, such as, card stock differences and everything. So you will have sometimes a few choices. Frankly, I don't remember if I had more than one choice because I like linen finish, so I just went with that. So I hope that answers your questions about this deck, and I hope you've enjoyed this and enjoyed the Arcana Battle, where I surprised myself. I'm not usually a magician girl, but this deck is different. This is Kara from Kara Tarot. Join me again in my other videos, and don't forget to please like and subscribe. Thank you.